Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Epic Understanding. I am your host Coach Erica Love. It's not often that I get to bring to you a history maker, and that is what I am bringing to you tonight. There's a lot of really other cool things about him. He had a very wonderful TED talk, and he's an awesome football coach, and he's a heck of a nice guy. All of that's really cool. But it just so happens to be he is a history maker, and that is why he's here tonight. Welcome, Derrick. How you doing, history maker?
I am well. How are you, Coach Love?
I am fabulous. I am fabulous. What I love about you is that you are a multi layered, multifaceted, open book kind of guy.
That
That's
would be a
really
fair
cool.
that would be a fair statement, and your words are kind. We are kindred spirits in that we like to make each other smile, and that is where you know victories are won. So yeah, to all those layers, hopefully they're all good ones.
Absolutely. You know what? I forgot to say you were a best-selling author. Family, he's a best-selling author too. You know what? I forgot that. I'm sorry.
I gotta look behind me and see who you talking about. Like whoever you talk about, that's a busy dude. I don't know, man. That dude needs to he take a day off or something.
You know what? You got time management down. You got time management down. You know what? So definitely, I'm hugging you with my heart, but you're just easy to celebrate. But that doesn't mean you didn't go through some rough stuff to get where you are.
Ooh, amen, sis. That is absolute truth and absolute. As our other brother Chip Baker likes to say, you got to grow through you go through, and
Yeah.
I am an accumulation of scars that love covered up. And
Ooh, that's
no,
good.
no, that's
Scars that love covered up.
man. It wasn't easy, but because of that, because I know pain, I know struggle, I know grind. I have respect for it. I have respect for people who are going through it. And then I never, ever value anybody where I see them. I have to see
Mm,
them at their best, even when they're not quite yet or
mhm.
not quite there again.
Now
So,
that's the essence. That's the essence of love. That's the essence of love. Now, I want to be very clear. You are the first Black owner of a radio station in Nebraska. Is that correct?
according to the records and according to the documents that I got, uh, recently a thing happened, and I'll be fair with you, and I'll do that thing that you know I like to do, which is ask for your permission to tell you the truth, right?
Absolutely.
That way, that if things veer left or right, you have permission to reset the GPS and bring me back to it. So the numbers are so rare when it comes to radio ownership in America that it isn't an easy find. I mean, you have to be a journalist to kind of dig through and find out what the numbers are. But to my knowledge and to my understanding, this is a real thing. And America's history said that a lot of people of color did not have the opportunity. And it takes
Hmm.
such a perfect storm and a perfect time and a perfect accumulation of things and people to make it happen. It just black radio ship ownership, especially in a non-conglomerate. I'm an independent, single owned, single standing. Not that we will stay that way, but
Okay.
currently, this is what it is. It's freestanding, independently owned. We're one of the very few independently owned and independently managed local stations in Nebraska. So it's a rare thing to have uh, that kind of layer of ownership, especially from the culture that I come
Wow. So, just to be clear, what kind of radio station do you have?
from. I am the owner of KNTK FM, 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, Nebraska. It is a sports radio station. It's the only independently owned and run sports station in Lincoln and in Nebraska. And for what we're doing with it, we've already increased our listenership. We've already increased our revenue. We've already increased our awareness. We've increased the amount of local time that we're on air.
Mm-hmm.
It is an opportunity to do some amazing things, and the grind will be worth it. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the result will be worth it, but the narrative is important.
So this is pretty amazing because you said the only, and you said that twice. So you're the only independent sports radio station, or just the only independent radio station?
The only independent sports radio station. At this day and age, most radio stations are corporately owned, corporately run.
Right. They all
They're
sound the same.
right, like they're locally managed. It is mass produced. For
Hmm.
me, what we wanted was to be sure to be able to do what I just did with you, which is to declare to our listeners every day permission to tell them the truth, have
Hmm.
authentic conversations, to be curious about things we're unaware of, and to be informative about the things that we know.
Okay, and you're in Nebraska. I mean, they're serious about their sports, and if I'm not mistaken, they're serious about their football.
Their football is the religion. Let's be
Okay.
let's be clear. The faith is that they gonna show up 90,000 strong every Saturday. So imagine that they've sold out every home game since 1962.
Okay.
That's nobody else has done that. And now they are in a stadium that holds 90,000 people. It is
Okay.
the economy. It is the economy. It is the the grand thread that connects the communities and the people of this great state. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, this it is serious business, and they just don't let anybody in, and they
Hmm.
certainly don't trust anybody with their beloved. So I had to come in and earn trust. I had to come in and prove value, and then I had to show that in this business, the way I was taught it, you are either entertaining or informant. And once you remember that and then make truth the priority, you can do amazing things in radio. It's good stuff and great storytelling.
Wow. You know what? So I do, that's what I like about sports. I love the storytelling. I love the story of Kurt Warner. There's another guy that I like. I think his name is Griffin. He doesn't have a hand.
Yeah, yeah. He was originally out of Florida. He's got a brother who also plays uh, in he played in Seattle, and now they're in separate places. But with playing with one arm, look, sports is the one place. Well, there's a couple things about sports that are very unique, and that's why I chose sports as the way I was going to make my living, because
Mm-hmm.
it was never the same day to day. You could not plan it. You cannot get ahead of it. And sports is one of the great mirrors to America in its opportunity. So America
Mm-hmm.
at its best is when the people who play the games get together and they get into a huddle. In that huddle, you're one. In that locker room, you are one. And there are
Mm-hmm.
not many, especially go back 50 years, that wasn't always the case. Well, now at least there is a place where people of all colors, all religions, all sexualities can get to work and accomplish a thing that's greater than them. That's what sports does better than anything else.
So when you said sexuality, do you really think we're there? I think we're getting there, but I don't know if we're there.
We're never there. That's the thing about sports. If you want to really know how what the get down is, look at sports, and you want to know how people accept things. The middle of America, how the middle of America accept things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the ends of the spectrum have their own space and place, but sports tends to capture more of them because of what it does. The
Mm-hmm.
sexuality thing apart it, the women's sports have it right. The men's sports are still dealing with a machismo and kind of a look. I don't care how people feel about it. To me, if I'm going to call myself a godly person, a man of God, I can't carry that sort of judgment in me. That's not my life, and it's certainly not my decision. But look,
Mhm.
I'll high five you. I'll give you a hug. Go do your thing, especially if it's within a huddle, within a dugout, or in a lineup. That's just, we need to be better. We need to be better. Sports and music are the two things that will move us in that direction.
So, have you had players who've expressed their sexuality to you and wanted you to keep it quiet?
Absolutely. And I still have to this day. To this day,
Okay,
my job is not to judge. My job is to direct. My job is
got
to.
it.
So I'm not going to tell anybody, hey, you might want to keep that to yourself, or you might want to share. The fact that they confided in me means I did my job. I gave them a
Good.
place where they knew love was welcome and that love existed.
Mm-hmm.
That I was. It's not my job to, like, I look. I've had many conversations with God. None of them included Him asking me to judge people.
Okay, okay. And you want to know what? I definitely track you with that. I I just don't do it. I just don't do it. My first priority is to love you, and I really do try to stay in that lane. Now I have discernment, but I'm not out here judging.
No, to know the truth and
Mm-hmm.
accepting the truth are tied together. It's in the
Right.
action of that truth where people get lost and, well, I don't feel comfortable being in that space. Again, that's a you thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
Mm-hmm.
about the people you're talking about. The people that you're talking about have their hands full. It's hard enough to be a human being in this day and age. It's hard enough
Yes.
to be a grown up. It's hard enough to be a teenager. It's hard enough to be a college athlete or a pro athlete. Look, those are the 1% of the 1%. Now,
Mm-hmm.
add to that this extra thing, right? Where ultimately they don't even just get to be people, right? Like, oh,
Wow.
you're not even a man no more. You're not even a woman no more. I got to call you something else. No, that's, I will call you by the name that you prefer because you deserve that. I will dig you in your space. That's your space. It's not mine, it's yours. So, and then we collectively reach a place where there's trust involved, there's humanity involved, and that there's love involved. After that, whatever is.
So I got a hard one for you.
Okay.
Um, where what direction do you think we should be going when it comes to transgender men? I think I'm asking that right.
Okay.
So someone who was born a man but
Mm-hmm.
identifies as a woman, and them playing like high school sports, because I know your station gets all into it. You do professional sports and you cover high school sports. I mean, you are sports, and then better yet, sports.
Well, this is so. Before I came to Lincoln, I was in D.C., and there's a women's professional sports league, uh, and this is serious business. I mean, the women that you now see umpiring and coaching in NFL play in this league. This is
Mhm.
where they celebrate their love of the game. And in D.C., they're the D.C. Divas, and we would play teams where there were trans athletes on the opposing team, and they
Mhm.
have rules and guidelines for percentage of testosterone, et cetera, levels that they have to deal with. I don't get involved in it because coaching to my opponent or coaching against my own teammate is not why I'm there. I'm there to trust to help you elevate yourself in the game that I'm coaching, in the space that I'm coaching. That is a whole other thing that, one, I don't have control over. Two,
Mhm.
I wasn't a part of the decision making process. And three, I know some women who play football better than the dudes who would complain about it. So
Mhm. Mhm.
they are willing to go out and match up against those athletes. That's not my concern. It's my job to coach my people. If I have a transgender athlete, I will coach them just like I coach everybody else. When you get into the science behind it, that's a different discussion. But that's not my lane. I'm
Mhm.
dealing with people, and I don't make the rules to the game. I don't make the boundaries to the game. It's my job to take care of the people who play the game while they're in my space, so that when I'm done with them, they're covered more in love than I found them. That's pretty simple.
I know that's the way you roll. That is the way you roll. So tell me this. What do you think about politics and sports?
I wish they would leave each other alone. That's my wish.
Really?
That's my wish. Well, here's why. What I would hope is that that our humanity would take over for politics. I would hope that fairness and equity and equality, and I notice I said equity and equality,
Uh-huh.
those aren't political things. They've been made political things, but those are humanity things. And what we all wanted outside of sports is what we want inside, which was the ability to compete on the same playing field at the same level under the same rule. Policy becomes a thing where somebody with an agenda and somebody with the ability to make profit on it becomes involved. I love the
Hmm.
purity of sports between the lines. It's outside the lines that the nonsense happens and the chaos happens. Yeah, it was required for a long time. America used policy against people. Go, well, listen, black folks understand. Look, I don't want. All we want to do is be able to fight you in a fair fight. Like, let me get in the ring and box you. Let me get in the track and run against you. Let me
Hmm.
get a ball and let's see who's the better person. That policy stuff, that political stuff, and there's a difference also between policy and political. The policy are the rules and the boundaries in play. And black folks will tell you, as long as I know what the policy is, I can get to work and I'll probably catch you and probably be better than you. It's when the policy is affected, which allows secret and private advantages, whether it be from a financial standpoint or a socioeconomic standpoint, where things get messed up. I really wish policy and politics would leave the game and let the games be games.
So was it right for um is it how do you say his name?
Which one?
Kaepernick?
Kaepernick? Kaepernick?
Yes. Was it right for him to kneel?
Yes.
Okay.
That is not a political thing. That is not
Hmm.
a policy thing. That is a humanity thing. He was saying that in our humanity, we are doing things that we should be better about, and he's drawing attention to it. He didn't
Hmm.
finger point, like he didn't go to individuals. He simply said, "Listen, in my own space, by the rules that are allowed, I'm going to take a knee so I let people know that I'm thinking about them." Like he did a thing of love. And again, we've forgotten that kneeling in every culture is a sacred statement that I'm bending my knee to something greater, for a different result. That's what we do in prayer. That's what we do in the military. That's what we do in every other thing. And that political thing jumped in, and people made it into something that it never was. Not, it was never intended as such, and then it became a whole other thing. Look, that brother did a very simple thing to make other people think that he was thinking of them, and shame on anybody else who stepped outside of that.
Now I'll tell you something very interesting. I was looking this up and I found that at first he was just sitting down
Mm-hmm.
during the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up talking with um, someone and someone who was had served in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And they were actually offended by him sitting down. And so they came to an agreement that instead of sitting, he would kneel. Because he was the guy that he talked with was former military. So his kneeling was actually a act of respect. But I,
And
I don't
he
think that's
acknowledged.
popularized.
Well, he acknowledged that. And look, he isn't the first person in sports who was beat down because he made a statement of others. I mean, Muhammad Ali made a statement of others, and they shut him down. There's a basketball player who simply stood in his own space during the national anthem. He was born Chris Jackson. He is known as Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Played for the Denver Nuggets, and they chased him out of the league. And he was he was an all star.
Hmm.
Look, culturally, this country has a problem with change. and then they fight. Somebody has to be the one who falls in the grates when everybody else can crawl over. This
Mhm.
is what America has done. At some point, America will stop waiting to be right later and get
Mm.
it right the first time. Get it right to begin with. There are steps for that in play, but no, that Cap did a thing that look, it was he couldn't have imagined that it would become what it became, but
Mhm.
it became
Mhm.
something because of other people's opinion of it, not what he intended.
Hmm. I got it. So let's talk about this new thing that's going to happen with the national anthem.
Hmm.
There's going to be two. One, our standard national anthem, and then one is, Lift Every Voice and Sing, which is known as the Black National Anthem. What are your thoughts on that?
So people have forgotten that the anthem is the politicizing of the game.
Mm,
It didn't always happen. It wasn't always a part of sports. It was added during wartime to get Americans to stand together in a thing, in a place where they got
which
together.
war? Which war?
Well, what started World War I and then World War II and then Korean War, it was done because it was a way of getting large numbers of Americans together to feel good. So if you go to a place that had 50,000 people and the Americans were together in it, anytime they could stand together was a victory. But once the anthem has been taken and politicized, right, and to say that it stands for a group of us and not all of us, then you've crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
Look, as a coach, I don't coach from political points. Um, I love doing things together. I love it when this country does things together. I love when they have pay attention to each other and have an understanding of each other. My
Mm-hmm.
players stand together during the anthem because it is a moment for us to be together before we have to be together, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
always say, you can't finish together if you don't start together. And so that's what that is for most coaches. It's an opportunity for the team to get together on the same page. The Black National Anthem, again, it's not like everybody knows it. Like people use
Right.
it's now being used as a political thing
Mm-hmm.
rather than being celebrated for its beauty and its intent.
Right.
So, right, like
Yeah.
it's not this. This is a weird way to get people to know of it, speak about it, and hear it. It
But
should be much simpler than it is.
I think I'm not sure what the intent is by doing this. Um, and I think people will begin to know it and it will push forward an agenda. I'm not sure if this is the right space for it.
As I said, I'm consistent. I'm consistent. I want for political and policy to get out of the games so that you can focus on simply what people got together for. Teams get together with for a certain purpose. The anthem has very little to do with it. Um,
So do you think we should not play the anthem at all? Do you think the anthem should go away?
I don't think go away. I think it was done. Now it's been soiled because now it belongs to a certain faction of people.
Mhm.
Like it's used. Oh, well, you better stand, or you're not one of us. That's not the intent. That's not
Mhm.
togetherness. That's not unity. So until we figure out exactly what it is that we're doing, all of this
Mhm.
is just peripheral nonsense. Like this is look. If we're standing together and you're playing uh, do the hokey pokey. If we doing it together, I'm cool with it. It's when you
Mhm.
draw a line in the sand between people that you're supposedly playing this for. It's hypocritical. Like let's we're not using any of this stuff for the thing that we're supposed to be using it for in the space that we're supposed to be using it for. So
So let's talk about this.
okay,
Let's talk about this.
okay.
What do you think of the new halftime show.
Hip hop with Snoop and
Yeah,
Amen. Amen.
yeah.
There's something for everybody. There's
Well,
something
yeah,
for
that it is true. I'm not sure how um, baby boomers necessarily are going to feel about that. I'm not sure how they're feeling about it.
don't care.
Oh, did you?
Don't care.
Well, I do declare.
Right? Just see, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that is so based on. Remember, people forget that in the early Super Bowls, we got Al Hurst playing a trumpet by himself. Like you got
Okay.
what was the Kids of America? What was the young Americans or whatever back in the
Hmm.
day where they would sit out there and sing, Coca-Cola songs. Like
Yeah.
this thing has evolved, and as we evolve with it, the inclusion is that they want people that most people know. Now, if there's I don't know that there's a musical act in America that everybody knows. Those days may be gone. But
Hmm.
people complained about it being Prince. People complained about it being Michael Jackson. People complained about it being Janet Jackson. And look, those people, there are people who will complain about it all. I'm not worried
Hmm.
about the complaint. I'm focused on the people who are going to they're going to put their plates down at halftime. They're going to make some
Hmm.
room in the living room. They're going to find
Okay.
a favorite person. And there's going to be some footwork in every household in America. That's the idea and the intent. That is absolutely what that moment is for. And if you stand in the corner frowning and making faces, guess
Uh-huh.
what? Halftime will be over in 22 minutes. You'll get over it.
22 minutes. There we
Hey,
go. There
you
we
know,
go. And I need to just jump back because this is what I wanted to ask you about, but honestly, it slipped my mind. What about prayer? What about prayer? Are your teams praying together? Do you support that? And what if you do if somebody wants to sit out?
well, see, here's the thing. In most public schools, they will tell you not to pray in what you do. And in a school that I coached at, a high school I coached at in Virginia, um, I put together this thing that we say before every game, and it's also very similar to what they do here in Nebraska. And I presented it to the athletic director, and his response was, well, this sounds a little bit like a prayer. If you're asking people to get together and lower their heads, I said, okay, well, then I tell you what I'll do is I'll turn it into a shout. And we will call it the code, and we will do it all together, because my thing is, again, if we can't finish together unless we start together. So
Hmm.
before and after every game for 11 years, every team that I coached in 3 sports would get together and say this thing. And you had
Wait, do
folks
we get to
that
know the thing?
oh my goodness. It's a, so depending on the school code, uh, we battled this night. We asked for a chance that's fair, a chance to honor our stride and the name that we wear. And it goes into a full process of acknowledgement of day by day, we get better and better till we can't be beat, till we won't be beat. And then it finishes with the two words that we all work and sweat for, which is my team wins. So I would say the school's name and we win, and everybody would lose their mind. And we would do this win or lose. And a part of the code says, well, we will if we win, it'll be by the code, blue and white held high. And if we lose, we'll stand by the road and cheer as our opponents go by. Now, if you
Oh.
set standards in what you do, prayer is an elevation and a connector.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
understand it changes level and location. Anytime
Hmm.
you are in prayer, you are either lowering yourself or you are elevating yourself,
Hmm.
either because your balance is off. Prayer requires that you recalibrate, you recenter, you reset, and then you redirect. If
You
there's
know
a
what?
go
You
ahead.
found a way to get it done. That's all I'm going to say. You.
See, here's the thing. There's a thing I used to say in college to my coach. which was tell me the rules so I know what I can and can't do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
once I know the rules, I will figure out how to make it work.
There you go. There you go.
So,
You're gonna get it done.
oh, I am a get it done kind of dude. That is legitimate and bona fide.
So I know that you have had some I don't know, big time decisions to make
Hmm.
and some big time problems to solve
Hmm.
since you've been the owner. How long have you been the owner? Because I mean, it's brand new. You're hot off the press.
Brand new. It's 6 weeks, maybe
Wow.
6 weeks, maybe.
Wow.
No, 5 weeks because September 1st.
Okay, September 1st.
September 1st.
Look, you're 1 month in. Happy anniversary.
It's got that new radio station smell, you know.
Exactly. So, you're at the infancy stages of owning this radio station. What kind of problems have you had to solve?
Woo! Let's go to church. Uh, the thing that happens with any new business, especially if it's one that's already open and you've got to renovate it and make your changes and slap some new paint on it and tighten some screws and such. But the thing that happens after you buy a house and rebuild it is the day after you go to contract and close, a pipe that wasn't leaking starts to leak.
Mm-hmm.
For us, so Marketron is the basis for radio tracking, traffic, billing, etc., ratings, all
Uh-huh.
of the above. We were notified 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago that Marketron had been under cyber attack from the Russians, which basically meant that every radio station in America on that Monday was manual again. There were no electronic billings, there was no electronic tracking. All of the commercials had to be handled individually, manually. All of your billings had to go back to being paper, actually billable invoices. None of your payments, you couldn't take payments. Like there's just imagine the nightmare that is. And I felt awful, just awful. But then I remember that when I was in Salt Lake City, we were in a building with 7 radio stations in that building, corporately run. And their day on that Monday was exponentially worse than mine because 7 times the work, 7 times the tracking, 7 times the chaos. We figured out the benefits of that. We got it to work. We've been grinding because it means more hours and more hands on deck. Um, but yeah, in this day and age, it, that first when you get the email saying we, cyber attacked by the Russians, oof. Um,
I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big
oh,
deal.
this is America's media source network being cyber attacked, and you haven't heard much about it. But for those of you who look, go ahead and Google it. It's right out there for you. And we handled it, and we got through it. And then the other part of friction and the other part of the things that happen when you take over. Um, I'm a minority,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and in certain spaces, especially middle America, uh, conservative, sometimes that's frightening. Like I understand that I frighten people who aren't familiar with me. I'm I'm a big silverback who speaks, and that's right. Like they don't know how to take me. They see the side, they go, "Oh, this big brother. I can bark when I need to. I can growl when I need to." I like to tell people, I'm a bear. You either get the grizzly bear, teddy bear. That depends on you.
All
And if
right
you get
now.
you get the grizzly bear, you understand why you got it, and there ain't no problem. But there were people who leaned away from the idea of me, a relatively new person in the state and in the town, owning a thing that was near and dear to them.
Mm-hmm.
This was
Mm-hmm.
kind of their station. They thought of it. This is we were. So you go through that. You have people that aren't going to ever accept it as a good thing, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Uh, which also happens in everything else that we do. There are people that just won't accept that somebody that looks like us could do what we're doing and do it well or do it better than they could or have that opportunity because that's supposed to be an us opportunity thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you grind through that. And what I found early in life was this: just because I was different from them and new to them and a bit of a unicorn to them, that was on them. It was my job to be me,
There you go.
absolutely me, unconditionally me. And they will adjust, they will adjust. And what happens over time is that they lean in, they find themselves curious,
Mhm.
and they get
Mhm.
hit with a smile, and they get hit with a hug, and I'll wink at them and give them a fist bump. And before you know it, I'm a human. I'm a man. I'm a person. And then we can move forward. And that's been the grind. It's been the grind. Several stops in my life. I lived in Utah. Yes,
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
They talk about it, right? Um, California, Atlanta, uh, Houston, and the places that I live. And the joke is amongst my friends are like, "Can you move to a whiter place?" And it seems like I continually find myself in whiter places like this. Like it's like, oh, somebody will come looking for me. Oh, we're looking for DP. Oh, you mean the black guy?
You know what? Let's hover over that for a second.
Okay.
Do you do you feel comfortable being the black guy?
Yes, because that's why I've been put where I was put.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not everybody could go through the stuff that I go through. Not everybody's built for it. Nobody else is particularly wired for it. I wouldn't put this on anybody else. And it's my job to be the first one so that there can be the next one.
So, before we go too far, can you tell me what kind of stuff do you go through?
Oh, good, good. Oh, this
Wait a
is
minute. Good googly goo.
yeah, this is its own book. This is its own book. So imagine, so back in a previous life, I ran bars and nightclubs and sports bars. And so, of course, at the end of the night, I would close, and you take the cash from the bar, and I would take it because I need to take it to the bank in the morning. And when you first start doing that, you're still an unknown. Well, imagine in a high rent district where a police officer rolls up and sees a black dude leaving a restaurant at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, if until they know, they don't
Mhm.
know. So it
Mhm.
becomes, hey, what are you doing at this restaurant? You breaking in? No, I'm locking it up. Uh, like this is my bar. This literally is my bar. So I'm just leaving work. I'm at work like you are, and you have to
Mhm.
explain it. It happens several times. It happens a lot. In Virginia, I have a nice house. It was a nice house, and I was out front just puttering around. You're puttering around on your house, whether it's early in the morning or late at night, and you get that pull up, and that first one is, hey, what are you doing at this people's house? Well, I'm living. That's what I'm doing. I'm living. Or you
Um,
get, or you get, hey, do you do lawn service? Because I'd like to hire you. Oh no, no, you don't. No, you don't. I've been stopped outside my own home. I've
mhm.
been stopped outside my own business. I've been threatened privately and publicly for being in neighborhoods that people weren't familiar or comfortable or used to somebody like me being there. Again, this is everywhere. Literally in every place that I've ever lived and worked, that's been a thing. Um,
Mm.
but I've figured, again, once I know the rules, I figure out how to win. Then it becomes make I have to make myself bigger, not smaller.
Mm.
I have to make myself known. I have to show strength. I have to show presence. I have to show ownership. I have to show what my grandfather would call moxie. and being aware of my situation and my surroundings at all times. At
Okay.
all times. And because of that, again, I've been put in a lot of situations a lot of people haven't. So I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared for it.
So, in your current scenario, because you've only been in Nebraska for 2 years,
2 years
okay? And in that time, you've acclimated and you've bought a radio station, okay? So
in
you're
a
fast
pandemic.
tracking this.
In a pandemic where you
Yes,
couldn't
in
meet
a
people,
pandemic, my
where you
goodness.
couldn't meet people. Yeah.
Exactly. How
Right.
amazing. But yet, I'm still curious, are you still, not that you're asking for permission, but are people still wanting you to ask for permission to exist in your fullness?
Absolutely. And it's a daily thing. So a part of sports radio and radio in general is the engagement with people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this station is proactive, and we have a text line where people can literally text us anything throughout the entire show, and we'll read it on. It's a way for them to ask questions or add insight or otherwise. And we have an open phone line, and we have an open door policy. Folks can come in otherwise. But in this day and age, especially during the politics that were going on and the pandemic that was going on,
Mm-hmm.
people were divided, and people make several assumptions about me without ever knowing. Right? It's
Mm-hmm.
oh, I, I I've lost count of how many people said, "I can't believe we let a liberal own a radio station."
Oh, wow.
Like literally said it out loud and on a text, right? And you go,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, well, my response to that is because that's the response. It's there are things in this like where people have become so comfortable in being able to say whatever they want to say, however they want to say it, without being held accountable for it. But
Mm-hmm.
my thing is, I've earned my place. I've earned my spot. I've outworked people who had the opportunity to do this, but I've outworked them. I've out hustled them. So now I have to pay attention to code speak,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
code speak, where people will speak about a thing without saying it out loud,
Mm-hmm.
being called arrogant.
Oh.
You're very arrogant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You should be humble.
Got it.
Oh, well, the silverback speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Not used
So
to,
that's that permission, the permission to be yourself.
right? And it's that thing that happens. I've said this. First of all, anybody that calls me arrogant is out of pocket and out of line. It's my arrogance, my confidence. I have to. I have to. I can't do the things that I've done and been the places I've been and be small.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Mm-hmm.
time I'm small is in a space with young people and with God. Otherwise, I am a big, huge, mud stomping silverback.
The only thing about that, you know, it really surprises me that someone would call you arrogant because it's so far from who you are. I
But
mean,
that's why.
really far
But that's why it
from who
doesn't.
you
That's why it doesn't land. That's why it doesn't land. It's that love prince thing that so covered in love that nothing else can stick.
are. Mm-hmm.
That's not a love thing that they're operating from. So it can't affect me because it's simply not true. They can call me orange, doesn't make it true. So why would I be affected by them calling me arrogant?
You know what? You're doing really well because one of the things that people do to you is that they create a false narrative. I actually had someone tell a flat out lie about me on the air. They took a little bit of truth and then took some fabrications that they had in their head and they said it right flat on the air. I was dumbfounded. And because I did not want to kind of feed into it and I didn't want to create content for them, I didn't really address it, but it told me a lot about that person.
It depends, and in true story, it depends on my day, quite frankly.
Okay.
There are days when I'll ignore it because it's just not true. Like you basically just said, "Oh, an elephant's in the room." No, it really isn't. So I can either acknowledge the crazy or shut it down. But there are days when I simply say, "No, we're not doing this today. We're not doing this today." Um, in this day and age, it people aren't used to people setting them straight. They've
Mm.
had freedom. They've had freedom, one, to be anonymous and to be distant. Right? You can say whatever you want from 30 miles away. But I've always said this about people. I say again, don't be fooled by the smile and the brain. Don't, because I wasn't always this dude.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
was like, don't let what Steve Harvey said. Don't let the suit fool you, baby.
Mhm.
That's not where I'm from. That's what I wear. What I will tell people in the simplest terms is, don't say anything to me on air or in this space that you wouldn't say to me in a dark closet with no room.
Oh my God! Look at you. That's
Real
funny.
like look, they I being on air and having the microphone means I have to be accountable for what I say. Like there has to be
Mhm.
truth to it. There has to be like it's got to be trackable. It's got to have facts. But the people who are listening can say whatever they want just because that's how they feel they want to say it. But that difference is I'm being a mature grown up in how I present myself and the things that I say. They are being childish in what they're doing. I will often say, well, quite frankly, there are things and there are times, and I've done this several times, and I'll just go, let me help you out. Let me help you out. We're not going to do this. We're not going to
Mm.
do this. See, you can tell me how you feel, but then we get past the point where if you're not telling the truth, I'm going to ask you to show me how you feel.
Okay.
Most people do not want to smoke. They
You
do.
want to know what? I promise you, I am still learning. I'm still growing. Um, One thing about me, I, even regardless of someone's behavior, I am always afraid, or I have that pullback instinct because I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt them with with my words. Not that they're not doing something to me or something I don't like or something that's honestly making me lose respect from them. That's the deal. I will be looking at somebody and listening to someone, and I will honestly be losing respect for who they are. And then I think to myself, if I respond to them with what they're asking for and what they deserve, I will hurt them.
No, what you're doing is you're teaching them.
Hmm.
You're redirecting them. You're you're
That's a good
helping.
one.
No, no, you helping them. Because listen, I tell people all the time. I again, the very first thing that I say to people I don't know, do I have permission to tell you the truth? See, and I carry that in my pocket like a business card. Like
You know what you do? You rock that. You
it
do.
look, I would say to you, listen, for whatever, and you tell people, look, the thing that you just said, first of all, the way that you said it doesn't make sense to me, and it's not fair to me because you're speaking at me instead of to me. Now, if you want to have a conversation about it, you have the phone number, you can call into the station, and we'll have this conversation. I said, but
Mhm.
right now you're texting at me, or you're calling in and saying a thing to me rather than talking to me. And if you
Mhm.
don't value me as a man and as a human being, then what you say has no validity. It has no point, has no merit, has no value. Then, if you really want to get to me and say this thing, again, truth things will be said. The truth will be said. And if you're saying something that's not true, I will not only deny it, but I will prove it to be wrong, which most people aren't prepared for. They aren't prepared for to be called on their BS. And then I will tell you after that, now that we've had that discussion, where do we go from here? Can I trust you? Can I have you around? If I can't, that's cool because it allows me to put you in my GPS as a place that I'm never going to go again.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. You know what, DP, I promise you. I'm going to watch this part back just for myself. This was a gift to me. I appreciate you because I think I still struggle um, with that. I'm I'm not a confrontational person, and I think I'm afraid of myself
Well, no,
and
what's the
what
I mean,
and what
what's
I
the
might say to a person and hurt them with my words. I'm very, very, very concerned with hurting someone with my words. So it's not necessarily that I don't want to, mix it up. I just don't want to hurt somebody in a way that I can't repair.
but you are repairing them because you're keeping them from doing that to anybody else. Think of all the people behind you, after
Hmm.
you, who will not have to deal with the nonsense that you corrected, redirected, and
I
changed.
like it. I'm working on it. I'm signing up for class with you. I'm getting me a session or two.
No, this is what it is, right? You say this. Look, I know that. Look, I know Miss Coach Love, and we got the hair tight, and I'm feeling like I got the faces, and I'm all glowy, and I got it. Like I'm like you got your broadcast voice, but I also know from my heart of hearts that there are times when you take the glasses off, you let the hair down, and you want to handle your business because you deserve to.
Hmm.
You deserve that respect. You deserve that consideration. You deserve that kindness. And anybody who would not give you those things,
Hmm.
come on, you're a welcome mat for everything good in the world. Why would somebody want
Oh,
to bring that nonsense to you? And that person is coming to you and saying, listen, I'm in pain. So I would say hurt people,
yeah, that's true.
right? And as long as we understand that, and you understand that, listen, this is unicorns and skittles. Like you come over here and get the good. But if you come over here and you poke the teddy bear, then what you are literally asking for is the other. And the other is purposeful. We're not talking about with malice. We're not talking about being
Hmm.
violent. We're not talking about being aggressive. We're
Hmm.
talking about setting a thing right. And that's what
Wow.
it should be.
How did the wise one say it? Don't write a check that your butt can't cash.
Hey, it's that thing. And look, what's the meme that there's a meme that everybody uses that says, you know why I don't go out at night? You know when I'm out with my people, you know why? Because the streets they love me, and I love the street.
Ooh.
That's why I can't be out here doing that nonsense. That's why I can't allow people to put poison in my soup. My soup was good, right?
Mm.
It was good. I plan the ingredients. I'm real particular about it. I take my time with it. But guess what? There are people out there that don't know how much love you put into your soup. You cannot allow bad cooks to put their hands in your soup. That's not allowed.
Mm.
The moment they bring that and say, I'm going to bring that nonsense, I'll put the lid on it and say, no, no, my friend, not here.
Mm-mm. It's not happening. It is
Not
not
happening.
happening. Okay, so I want to ask you a couple of more tough questions because you told me
Hmm?
that the culture in sports, I can't say it exactly how you said it, but you said there basically you were saying there are a lot of black people playing in sports, and there are a lot of white people speaking about sports,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So kind of unpack that for me. Talk to me about that.
So culturally, I mean, the business has been, and there has been a shift in that you're seeing more black faces, more and hearing more black voices. You're also witnessing more black leadership when it's,
Hmm.
but most places across the country, the people who are playing the sports are people of color, and the people who are talking about sports are not.
Hmm.
And there's some basic level of, oh my goodness gracious, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This is like my saying that I'm going to teach German, but I only speak English. Like you,
Okay.
like you haven't been around the people that you're talking about. You don't know the people that you're talking about. You don't understand culturally where they come from. You don't understand that there is a difference between a black person from Atlanta, a black person from Washington, a black person from California, and a black person from New York. They're not the same. You can talk about four brothers in the same house that aren't the same. All people aren't one thing, any one thing. That doesn't exist that way. So if you don't understand that when you talk about the games that are being played and you don't know where the people come from, you don't know their circumstance, you don't know their faith, you don't know their choice in music, you don't understand it, you don't know why it's a thing, then your ability to talk about it, it's vapid, it's empty, it's empty.
Mm.
And my statement would be like I've had co-hosts and again these are great dudes and they know what they know, but they have no idea what they have no idea about. And
Okay.
so I spend time explaining to them what happens, what caused the situation that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And you understand that they have no idea of understanding what the person from a particular place who has a certain neighborhood that they have to grow up in, survive in, grow from, leave.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those things get packed up and brought to Midwest America or rural America. And you're expecting this elephant to understand how frogs live.
Oh, wow.
Like it's a weird thing. Now there have been steps in order to
Mm-hmm.
correct that, but it's been my place and my job and my honor. It's a blessing. It's a gift, right? To be able to
Mm-hmm.
explain to people. Okay, first of all, you're gonna reason to be afraid of black folks. You just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mind your business. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Like being able to say explain things tattooed. Oh, the inked up. I'm like, do you know that most of these kids who have tattoos, usually this is it's some gospel or some piece of faith or somebody from their family that they love and they want
Mm-hmm.
to. But if you don't know anybody to ask that of, you make all sorts of assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they listen to hip hop music and think they have some understanding. No, 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 no. You don't know the difference between Louisiana hip hop, Cali, Cali rap, Miami, DC go go. They don't understand the difference and can't. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand that, then how can you talk about the guys in the NBA who socialize in a way that's entirely different than anything that they've ever known? Like they've
Mm-hmm.
never been to NBA All Star Weekend or HBCU. They don't know the list. They don't know why is that dude barking. They don't understand the branding. They don't understand any of it. Right? Like they
Oh,
don't
wait a minute. Did you say why is that dude
right,
barking?
right. Like they can't possibly understand until somebody
Mm-hmm.
explains it to them. And then there are people who will put in this space to share themselves in a way that they will listen and that they will understand. There are times when I speak and we do that thing where we voice to the environment that we're in and the
Mm-hmm.
company that we keep, right?
Exactly. Hold on. I gotta stop for a second. Are you a member of the Divine Nine in some way?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking. Just
No.
checking. I want to see.
No,
There are a long list of fabulous things about you. I was just checking to see.
I get asked that a lot.
Mhm. Okay, if you were going to be a member of the Divine Nine, which one might you? I think I know, but which one would pull you towards them?
So my brother barks. My
Yeah,
brother
so
barks.
I was definitely feeling a little, purple
He's
and gold. I
well
was,
that
I,
that that
you have that feel.
I am to my DNA that alpha male.
Hmm.
But I also consider myself a Renaissance man because the creative side of me requires that I address things. And then the business side of it, them blue folks tend to strive from a business aspect rather than a social aspect. So if you were going to go in that route, you could do that as well. There are no bad families to be
Well,
a
yeah,
part
no,
of.
there are no bad families, but I will say this. Um, I sense not Q Dog, but a Mega Man. Those are two different things.
Uh-huh.
A Q Dog is different than a Mega Man, and you know it.
I I would have been fine with both.
Oh, oh, okay,
Depends on when you knew me and where you know me. That's it.
okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I had to go down there rabbit trail
No,
to
that
see what was down
you
there.
know, look. There are certain dating situations that wouldn't have worked because I wouldn't and didn't. That's how that.
Well, you want to know what? I probably should just do a show on that because there are so many people who do not understand what Greek fraternities and sororities mean in the context of um, Black American culture, because it really it started in Black America. It has nothing to do with Africa or England or anything to do with Black people anywhere else in the world except in America, even though now many of those sororities and fraternities are worldwide.
They
But
are
it's,
international. They are
yeah.
international. Mine was more that where I went to school, and I went to school, I chose baseball over basketball and football. And baseball at the school that I went to, it was not an HBCU, but there
Mhm.
were partner HBCUs in the neighborhood. So if you go to VCU, Virginia Union, Virginia State will come looking for you. Like if you're an
Mhm.
athlete, they'll come looking for you. But I would have preferred that it was done because of who I am rather than what I am. And I never quite got over that bridge that you wanted me
Mm.
because I was a baseball player rather than that I could help the brotherhood forward and forever. So
Mm.
there's
Very
that.
interesting. Very interesting. Um, wow. Wow. I'm gonna leave that alone. I kind of want to go down the hole a little bit further, but I'm gonna leave that alone
We
because
aren't done. We aren't done. This is just one
absolutely not.
right?
Absolutely, absolutely not. I do want to ask you about this. I want to ask you about mixed race marriages
Mhm.
within sports, um, and it and it is because so many um, Black athletes marry white women. Now, I do not have a problem with, but it is something that is spoken about within the African American community. And it's even in rap songs, you know?
There was, but so let me, but people are speaking about it in the wrong way. They're speaking
Well,
about it
you
in the
know
wrong.
what? I'm glad you're saying that because I was going to say that it's not spoken about um,
It's
with
in the wrong
nuance.
way
It's just
because
not.
most of the athletes that we're talking about went to college so
Mhm.
that they could go pro in sports.
Mhm.
At those universities, who's at the universities that they were choosing to go to, and why were they chosen to go to those universities?
Mhm.
Integration was such a major power move for Black America, and being able to have people leave where they were from and go to these institutions of higher learning where they were going to be the unicorn. They were going to be, that was kind of the thing. But if you're in a space at your peak teenageism
Mhm.
and all the things that come with that, where are you and who's around you?
Mhm.
And if you were tied to a university, let's say you are in Evanston, Illinois,
Mhm.
or Salt Lake City, Utah, or Louisville, Kentucky, or Clemson, South Carolina, who's around you if you're an athlete?
Mhm.
Who are
Mhm.
the young ladies that are around you in large numbers?
Mhm.
It may not have been sisters in
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
space. And if those sisters were there, what were their opportunities to get close to that athlete?
Okay. Okay.
So in the environments that I've been in, generally it's you are a product of your environment. And if you're at the University of Kentucky or South Carolina, guess what? There are
Okay.
more white women there than Black women, just
Okay.
by number alone.
Mhm.
Now, if you're asking me why, if somebody from an HBCU would do that, no, the numbers would probably skew the other way. But if you went to a predominantly white university, 89% of the women were white.
Mhm.
What are you not going to date? You're not going to have what? You're not going to hook up? No,
Right.
no,
You're not
no.
gonna
That's
fall
right.
in love.
Right?
So,
Like you went. And I often said that. Now I'll tell you again, I'll tell you an absolute truth. And this is some people will find this funny, some people won't, but that's okay. So growing up, I grew up in a black neighborhood, like a black
mhm.
neighborhood. And because of the size of that neighborhood. Everybody knew each other.
Okay.
Everybody knew. And generationally, this was a neighborhood that some of the first slaves were freed in, and space was created for them as long as they stayed in this area.
Mm-hmm.
In that space, all the things that happen en masse happen in that small space. Well, okay, so I did not know who my father was
Okay.
until 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to date as I was a teenager. I would try to, like, you go hang out with somebody, you go to their house, you hang up, and I would hear, baby, y'all can't date. Y'all can hang out, but y'all can't date. Y'all might be related.
Okay. Okay.
And I remember one specific where that happened with somebody that I hung out with quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew her family and her family knew mine. And it was, baby, you can't date that boy. Tell he got to go home. Y'all probably cousins. Well, that
Mm-hmm.
happened 5 or 6 times.
Okay. Okay.
Now I'm a teenager and I'm an athlete and I'm like, man, I'm supposed to have girls. I'm supposed to be in this
Oh, wait
thing.
a minute. You're supposed to have girls.
Like I'm supposed to, like, all of my friends, this is what they did. Like they hung out, they go to dances, and it was like, look, I can't. My mom said I can't hang out with you because we might be cousins or something. I'm like, we ain't cousins. Fast forward to when I found out who my father was. Do you know that one of my high school girlfriends, my first,
Wow. Kissing
and,
cousins.
and we said no, we never, because we never crossed that line because her parents told us not to.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
was respectful of it. But then I also did this thing, and she said, "Well, I'm so glad we didn't hook up. That would have been bad, bad, bad." And that was a bunch of my female friends growing up. But then here's the thing: you hit 16. I'm in high school. I was bused, so I'm one of those first people that was bused from a black school to a predominantly white school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else dating. Everybody else hooking up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, "Well, that blonde haired girl over there ain't my cousin."
Okay. 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 There you
Like
go.
her mother might tell me we can't date, but it's an entirely different reason. And,
Okay. Fair
and that
enough.
happened too. So that's what it was
No,
for
we
me.
haven't even gone down that road yet. How? Because your wife is a white female.
Hmm.
How does that? How does that? How is that received?
Well, here's the thing that happened, and again, we're all a product of our environments. So as I just said, trying to date in that time and space for me was rather difficult. It was hard. I had black folks telling me we couldn't date. I had white folks telling me we couldn't date. I was like, okay, well, somebody gonna want, somebody's parents gonna say, yeah. Well, after college, funny story. After college, we go to the beach and we hang out, and we hung out with a group of girls from a school. Went back. We said, make sure we hook up when we get back. We got together, party at a girl's house. The girl that invited me, I walk in, we start dancing. I look over, and there in the corner is this woman. And I'm like, well, who's that? And they're like, well, it's her house and it's her party. And I'm like, I need to be honest with you. I should probably be over there. And I told her, well, we sat up and talked till 3 in the morning. Just talk.
Oh.
It wasn't nothing, like, we just talked. Well, the next morning, when we had finally, like, kind of dozed off, knock at the door, it's her parents. It's her parents. This is
Okay.
1985, maybe. Imagine, like, my fear is like, oh boy, like, this is a
Mm-hmm.
problem. Because any other, normally I need to climb out the window or some nonsense. These folks sat me at the kitchen counter and had conversations with me about what they saw in me in just meeting me, and
Aw.
telling me early on that, young man, you are going to do something special in this world. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I had never, like, that wasn't what I had been told, and that wasn't what I heard. He was a
Right.
Navy captain, she was a school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and here's this dude in all of his dress telling me that I was going to be special.
Wow.
Um, for me, the family matters, and to have a family be accepting of it, of me
Mm-hmm.
in that space, and seeing greater in me than I saw in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, wait a minute, we need to talk. Like, we need, we
Yeah. Wait a minute. You were like, all right, all right, all right.
well, but she made a point, And I lived in a black neighborhood. We didn't have money. We didn't have money. But
Mhm.
she would come and sit on my front porch in a black neighborhood with my mom for hours.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, hmm, because not everybody I dated wanted to do that,
Okay.
would do that. So
Okay.
color in our relationship has never really been a thing,
Mhm.
except for my explaining to her that she needed to be an ally. She needed to have eyes in the back of her head.
Mhm.
She needed to be a voice in those spaces where there were just white folks and usually white folks with money who would say things, and she had to stand up and get it right.
Okay.
And let me tell you, she's a little pit bull. So when somebody talks about her people, whether it's my mom, my daughter, my cousins, my friends, she barks. And I don't care what color you are. If you got my back, I got yours.
There you
And
go.
that's how simple that was. Like she knows the worst of me.
Mhm.
She's seen the worst of me. She kicked my tail when I needed my tail kicked. She picked me up when I was sitting in ICU with a chaplain on my bed.
Mm.
She sat on that bed too. Right, when I couldn't walk, when I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself. So to me, the color was irrelevant to it, and it was irrelevant to her. We just happened to be two people who figured out, all right, well, we're gonna grow old together. Let's figure out how we're gonna do it. And in the meanwhile, it's our job to change the way people think about when they see couples that look like us.
You're right. And there is a couple, gosh, I can't remember their name, but she's a black physical therapist, and he's a white gentleman, and he's handicapped. And they tell their story readily. I'll have to look it up and put it in the comments here. But they shared that they actually have more problems and questions because she's black and he's white than they do about him being handicapped and her being, full able bodied. Like people actually give them a hard time.
Here's what, but here's, Coach, this is the thing that's amazing to me, and it's constant. Most of the people who have those commentaries about people don't know those couples and don't know those people, and most
Mhm.
importantly, often don't have that themselves.
Mhm.
What any of us remove color, age, whatever, remove all of that stuff from it. And what we all want is the same thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
We all want the same thing. Like I never once did I said, you know who I'm gonna marry? I'm gonna no, that wasn't it. It wasn't it. What
Mhm.
I knew was here are the things that I needed from a person.
Mhm.
And the person that came along to do those things. And mind you, I wasn't that dude. Like, so my wife asked me to marry her when we first met, and I don't
Shut
remember.
up. Your wife asked you to marry her?
I didn't even remember it. She gave me an ultimatum that I apparently didn't hear. so, so we went our separate ways, and I did all the stupid stuff that men do when they have too much time and too much access. And then we
Mm.
found each other again, and she said, "Okay, you done? Like,
Wow.
done? Um, are you better? Are you done? You ready? All those things." And it's the conversation that we've had before. When you spend your time giving pieces of yourself to a lot of people, you never become whole. There's zero chance that you can become whole.
Wow.
And I'll say this to folks. For me, the thing was focus. Not having the distracted focus allows
Mhm.
you to gather information, knowledge, IQ, and achievement. Like you were supposed to be partnered in this world, even if it's just from same affection on a consistent basis.
Mhm.
Like there are people like you don't have to be married to have somebody that has your back. We all want people that have our back. And we all want to be the back for somebody who's worthy of it. Color
Mhm.
is like, to me, color was never a part of it. Finance was never a part of it. Religion was never a part of it. IQ was a part of it, and heart was a part of it. Like, I
Mhm.
look, if your heart, I need that good heart in my life.
Mhm.
Like, that was it. And the
There you
moment
go.
you identify that it's the heart, whatever the thing you put out as the thing that means the most is the
Mhm.
thing that would either draw you or turn you away. And people miss that. They miss the fact that, okay, well, I can't find somebody because you haven't figured out what you're looking for yet.
Mhm. Mhm. You know, I love talking about you because our hearts always meet in the love lane. They,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's, well, you said a thing the other day. You go, you're a heart melter.
yeah.
For hearts that have that capability, not all hearts have that capability. Like-minded hearts, same kindred hearts find each other,
Mhm.
and you can't do anything about it. There's nothing you can do. You go, okay, this heart's supposed to be in my life. Like, that's how this is gonna be. And then if there's a smile attached to it, then okay, well, now, okay, we win. All right, we family now. This is how this is gonna work. So I just tell people all the time, figure out what the most important thing is. Choose that. And if you're not sure what you should be choosing, start at
Mhm.
the heart and work your way out and make sure that you end up right back there. That is the most important thing. All the other stuff will get you disappointed.
Oh man. Oh man. That's amazing. That's amazing. What what do you have planned? What do you have planned for this beautiful dream that you are living, with your radio station?
Here's love. Let me give you this in the simplest way. 4 years ago, I was in an ICU bed, and that day, I generally said to myself every day, "Man, I have lived a complete life. Like, I've done everything. I've traveled. I've done all this stuff. And if God took me tomorrow, I'd be okay with it. I've lived several full lives." But that day, 27 blood clots in my body, 4 in my heart, 3 in my
Mm.
lungs, a saddle embolism that's choking me out, chaplain sitting on the bed. That day, I asked for one more day.
Mm.
That's all I wanted. When you hear people, that passed away in their sleep after surgeries from blood clots, that's usually what it is. One will do. I had 27.
Mm.
That day, I accepted a couple of things. That love was the only way I was going to get through it.
Yeah.
Love was the only way from it.
Yeah.
Love was going to be better than the medicine that I got. And
Amen.
and here's what happened since that day. Since that day, I found out what my real name is and who my father is. Since that day, I found out I have 3 more brothers and 2 more sisters. Since that day, I found that I curated and created a TED Talk. Since that day, I created and given a second TED Talk. Since that day, I have 2 best-selling books. Since that day, I bought a radio station and moved to Lincoln, Nebraska. And if you tell me that you could plan that, you will be telling a lie.
Mm.
I could not plan that. I simply had to love my way through it. The universe required that I love myself and I love everybody else enough that I would not be distracted from by anything else. None of this was planned. None of this. There's nothing special about me that other than I have the heart of a giant.
That's
That's
so beautiful. You know what? Do you remember Billy Ocean? I'm
yep.
hearing that song in the love zone.
It was
Hey.
right. Like that's like somebody we were talking about. We were in a late night chat, a panel, and they said, "Well, what do you want your legacy to be?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I hadn't really thought of it, but there's a thing that people think about their carbon footprint, like the things they consume
Mhm.
and push out into the universe in their lifetime, carbon footprint, where they've been, what they've used, what they've done."
Mhm.
I said, but that wasn't human enough. That wasn't positive enough.
Mhm.
If we did it right, it wouldn't be a carbon footprint. It would be a love print.
Yeah.
it would be a love print. And the love print
Mhm.
theory came to me literally that night was that I want to make sure that the people who allow me to love them
Mhm.
are so covered in love that nothing else can stick.
Oh,
Like
beautiful.
we want, whether it's our kids, it's our job to love our kids so much that when they leave that house and go into the street, that they know what love looks like, they know what love sounds like, they know what it feels like. And when that other thing shows up, they're able to go, oh, whoa, 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 that's not love. That's not it for
Mhm.
me. And that when we send them to school, that the love that they're covered in covers other kids in the school.
Yeah.
Teachers and coaches and educators, our job is to cover those students so much in love that when they leave the walk into the hallway, they're going to cover
Mhm.
other kids, and those high fives are covered in love, and those hugs are covered in love, and those smiles are covered in love. And as you do that, that leaves the school into the community, and it goes into the church, and it comes out in each home. And as a partner, whoever your
Mhm.
significant other is, your mission should be that I'm gonna cover you so much in love that can't nothing else get to you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right?
That's
Like
what I'm
that other
talking about.
dude show up and he's like, hi, and you're like, you're like, no, 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 I got that, I got that,
Only love sticks.
right? And so then the plan is this: that to put in place a thing that says the heart, the logo for for Love Prince is a heart and a hand,
Okay.
and I'll show it to you. I'll actually show it to you. I don't know if you can see it. I'll get close enough where I can.
Okay, wait a minute. There you go. Stop. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a hand and a heart. And below
Yeah.
that, it says, cover the world in your love prints. And then at the bottom, it
Mhm.
says, love out loud. Now,
Yeah.
love out loud is this thing that when I see you, I have to smile and acknowledge the beauty in you.
Mhm.
There will be no regrets about whether you understood how highly I thought of you. Our greatest regrets in life are that we simply do not tell the people that we find adorable, loving, and genuine. We don't tell them. Our
Mhm.
greatest regret is having a child or significant other who we loved and they didn't know it. So
Mm.
we should spend our time saying those things out loud. You see something good, you say something good. Miss Love. We say
Hey.
something good, we say something good, right? And then the other side of it is this. So the hand is action, the heart is love.
Okay.
The heart love without action is good, but it doesn't accomplish anything.
Mhm.
The hand without the heart is busy, but it doesn't accomplish anything good. It is
Mm.
in that togetherness that when love and action meet, you can accomplish anything.
That is
Anything.
fantastic.
You can
That is
accomplish anything.
fantastic. Let's say that again.
That
The
the, the,
heart is the
the,
heart
the
is
heart is
love
love, the
and the
hand is
hand is
action.
action.
The action without love is busy, but it's not accomplishing anything good. The heart without action is good, but it doesn't accomplish the thing that you need. It doesn't reach the places that you need. But together, love and action can accomplish anything. And that goes for your relationships, it goes for your business, how you handle your work. Most people would say, I love sports.
Mhm.
Yeah, but do you love it enough to be active in it? That means you
Mhm.
got to get to work. You got to
There
get
you
to
go.
work. Like,
There you
oh,
go.
I love that. I love that man.
And you wanna know something? Um, I had a classroom, and in it, I had love in action. So you know you're speaking my language.
Yep, it's there on the card. You'll see it right there. I'll get closer for you.
Wonderful. It's beautiful. It
Right?
is beautiful. That's
That's
my kind of thing.
right. And we have shirts. I have these bracelets.
Where can people find those?
So go to Love Prince. That's how it's spelled.
Okay.
There we go. Loveprince.us. So it's not .com.
Okay.
It's .us. They're bracelets. So when they had like these school shootings, I would always customize the bracelets and send them to the school and let them know that each school would put the bracelet on so they knew that someone thought of them that day. They knew
Oh,
that
wow.
someone cared. We do it. All my teams wear them, but the
Okay.
mission is this: that you put on the bracelet and know that you're covered in love. But if you see somebody who's alone, having a tough day, somebody that's struggling, it's your mission to take off that bracelet and give it to them, to let them know as a reminder that they are thought of, they're considered, they're seen, they're heard, that thing that happens. And then for the players, what we would do in the school, all these teams would give out these bracelets, probably 500 kids. But in a school of 3,000, the mission would be, how many times will you see the love that you shared again? Have the bracelets passed from student to student, from teacher to teacher. Through that, it worked at companies. We have shirts that have the love print on it that simply we give them out. Usually Christmas presents, that's what I give out. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a reminder that when I hug somebody with that shirt, I reach them.
Mm.
If I'm hugging you and you reach my heart, we both won.
Wow.
So
You
that's
know
how we
what?
did it.
That's it right there. That's it. You know what? Those are perfect closing remarks. You make me happy, DP.
Love you.
Bye bye, you guys. You have a great night.